The stars twinkled quietly in the darkness of space as the exploration vessel Pioneer moved through the uncharted system. Captain Robert James stood on the bridge, watching the main screen as it displayed data from their latest scan. This was their third week mapping this sector, and so far, they had found nothing but empty planets and space rocks. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Mike from his station at the sensor controls. His fingers moved quickly across the screen as he tried to get a better reading. "It's big, and it's moving fast." Robert walked over to Mike's station and looked at the readings. After 15 years in space, he had learned to trust his crew's instincts. "Can you tell what it is?" "No, sir. It's not matching any known signatures in our database." Mike's voice held a note of worry. "Whatever it is, it's changing course. I think it's heading straight for us." Robert didn't hesitate. "Sound general quarters. Everyone to battle stations." As alarms began to ring throughout the ship, he turned to his communications officer. "Jack, send a message back to Neptune Station. Tell them we've encountered an unknown vessel and are taking precautions." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, even though none of them had seen real combat. Humanity had been alone in space for so long that their weapons were mostly for show, or so they had thought. A massive ship appeared on their main screen. It was sleek and gray, with a design unlike anything human engineers had ever created. Its surface seemed to shimmer and shift, as if the metal itself was alive. "Sir, they're not responding to any of our greeting protocols," Jack reported, his voice tense. "I've tried all standard frequencies and first contact procedures." Robert opened his mouth to give another order, but before he could speak, the alien ship fired. A beam of energy cut through space, missing the Pioneer by mere meters. The ship shook from the near miss. "Return fire," Robert ordered. "All hands, brace for evasive maneuvers." He grabbed his chair as the Pioneer twisted away from another blast. Their own weapons seemed to have little effect on the alien ship's strange, shifting hull. The next few minutes were chaos. The Pioneer was a research vessel with some defensive capabilities, but it wasn't built for a fight like this. The alien ship was faster, stronger, and had weapons that seemed to ignore half of their shields. "Hull breach on Deck 3. Someone shouted. "Emergency containment fields holding." Robert watched as another blast from the alien ship tore through their port side. But in that moment of destruction, something unexpected happened. A piece of the alien vessel's hull had broken off during their exchange of fire and become embedded in the Pioneer's damaged section. "Engineering reports critical damage to the main drive," Mike called out. "We can't take another hit like that." Robert made the hardest decision a captain could make. "Plot an emergency jump back to Neptune Station. We're getting out of here." As his crew rushed to comply, he added, "And make sure we keep that section of hull with the alien fragment. Something tells me it might be important." The Pioneer's engines screamed as they pushed the damaged ship to its limits. The alien vessel followed, but as they approached the jump point, it suddenly pulled back. Robert didn't understand why until he saw the readings. They were about to jump through an asteroid field. It was incredibly dangerous. But they had no choice. "Jump drive engaged," the ship's computer announced. "Warning. Structural integrity at 47%. Jump not recommended. Override safety protocols," Robert commanded. "Execute jump now." The familiar sensation of a jump felt different this time. The damaged ship shuddered and groaned as space bent around them. Warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. But somehow, they made it. The Pioneer emerged from the jump near Neptune Station. Trailing debris and venting atmosphere from multiple breaches, emergency crews were already waiting for them, having received their earlier warning message. As medical teams treated the injured and repair crews swarmed over the ship's hull, Robert met with his chief engineer, Tom, in what remained of their engineering bay. They stood looking at the alien hull fragment, which seemed to be slowly moving, almost as if it was trying to repair itself. "I've never seen anything like it," Tom said, running a scanner over the material. "This metal, if you can even call it that. It's not just damage, it's adapting, trying to integrate with our hull somehow. Robert thought about the way the alien ship's hull had shifted during the battle, how it had seemed to absorb their weapons' fire. Could we learn something from this? Something that might help us if they come back. Tom picked up a small piece that had broken off and held it under a microscope. His eyes widened. Captain, this isn't just advanced technology. This could change everything we know about shipbuilding. But we're going to need help. The best scientists Earth has to offer. Robert nodded, already composing his report in his head. He knew the alien ship would return, probably with friends next time. They had gotten lucky today, but luck wouldn't be enough for round 2. They needed to understand this technology, and fast. As he left engineering, Robert passed by the ship's memorial wall, where they listed crew members lost in the line of duty. Today, they would be adding 3 new names. He placed his hand on the wall and made a silent promise. They would not only survive the next encounter, they would win it. Back on the bridge, Robert looked out at Neptune Station's familiar shape. The Pioneer was hurt but not destroyed. Her crew was bloodied but not beaten. And most importantly, they had something the aliens hadn't meant to give them, a key to their technology. The aliens had made a mistake in attacking them. They had assumed humans would be easy prey, that damaging their ship would be enough to destroy their spirit. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed, a challenge to rise to and the tools to do it with. As repair crews continued their work, Robert sent a priority message to Earth Command. The title was simple: First Contact Incident, Request for Emergency Research Initiative. He knew that somewhere in that alien hull fragment was humanity's future. They just had to be smart enough to unlock it. 3 days after the Pioneer limped back to Neptune Station, the research lab was buzzing with activity. Tom hadn't slept much, spending every waking moment studying the alien hull fragment. He watched in amazement as the piece continued to shift and change under various tests, sometimes even responding to electrical impulses from their equipment. Dr. Lisa Anderson arrived from Earth's Advanced Materials Division, bringing with her a team of the best scientists humanity had to offer. She walked into the lab, her eyes immediately drawn to the shifting metal displayed behind a containment field. "It's even more remarkable than the report suggested," she said, pulling out her own specialized scanning equipment. "Have you tried exposing it to different energy frequencies?" Tom nodded, pulling up his test results on a nearby screen. "It responds most actively to electromagnetic pulses. Watch this." He sent a carefully controlled burst of energy toward the fragment. The metal rippled like water, its surface reorganizing itself at the molecular level. "It's not just repairing itself," Lisa said, studying the readings. "It's learning, adapting to become stronger against whatever damaged it." She turned to Tom with excitement in her eyes. "Do you realize what this means? This isn't just advanced technology, it's programmable matter." Their discussion was interrupted as Admiral William Stone entered the lab. He was an imposing figure, known for his skepticism of new technologies. "I've read your preliminary reports," he said, looking at the alien fragment with suspicion. "They seem a bit far-fetched." Captain James, who had been quietly observing from the corner, stepped forward. "Sir, I watched that ship's hull adapt during combat. If we can understand this technology, we could revolutionize our fleet's capabilities." The Admiral frowned. "And if we can't control it, what if this is some kind of trap? For all we know, this material could be reporting back to them." Lisa quickly pulled up her latest scan results. "We've checked for any kind of transmission signals. The material itself isn't capable of long-range communication. It's more like programmable clay, incredibly advanced. Yes, but ultimately just a building material." Tom added, "And we're already making progress in understanding how to control it. Look at this." He pressed a few buttons on his console, sending a specific sequence of energy pulses to the fragment. The metal responded by forming a perfect sphere, then shifting back to its original shape. The Admiral's eyebrows rose slightly. Impressive party trick, but how does this help us defend against their ships? Because we're not just copying their technology, Tom explained, growing excited. We're improving it. The Greys use this material in a basic way, strengthening their hulls, adapting to damage. But we've discovered it can do so much more. Lisa stepped in. We've been analyzing it with our most advanced AI systems. The potential applications are incredible. Imagine a ship that could instantly reform its hull to deflect incoming fire or repair damage in seconds. But more than that, we could create ships that adapt their entire structure based on the situation. The Admiral still looked skeptical, but there was now a glimmer of interest in his eyes. How long until you could have a working prototype? With proper funding and resources, Lisa calculated quickly, 6 months for a small-scale test vessel. The material can be replicated once we understand its basic structure. We've already started the process. Captain James spoke up again. Sir, the Greys will return. When they do, they'll expect to find us still trying to repair our conventional ships. Instead, we could have something they've never seen before. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment, studying the shifting metal. Finally, he nodded. You have 3 months. Show me something concrete, and I'll back full production. As the Admiral left, the team immediately got back to work. Tom and Lisa spent hours discussing potential applications, while other scientists ran continuous tests on the material. They discovered that the alien metal responded particularly well to human AI systems, almost as if it had been designed for a more advanced control system than the Greys were using. Over the next few weeks, progress moved faster than anyone had expected. They learned that the material could be programmed with basic protocols that would remain active even without constant AI control. They also discovered that it could integrate with traditional human technology, creating hybrid systems that were better than either technology alone. The breakthrough came 1 month into their research. Late one night, Tom was running a routine test when he noticed something unusual. The fragment was responding to their latest AI interface in a way they hadn't seen before. He immediately called Lisa. Look at this, he said, showing her the readings. The AI isn't just controlling the material, it's communicating with it. The molecular structure is reorganizing itself based on the AI's predictions and analysis. Lisa's eyes widened as she understood the implications. It's a true symbiosis. The AI learns from how the material responds, and the material adapts based on what the AI learns. This is beyond anything the Greys demonstrated. They worked through the night, refining the interface. By morning, they had a small piece of the material forming complex structures on command, each one more efficient than the last as the AI learned and adapted. When they presented their findings to the Admiral a week later, the demonstration left no room for doubt. They showed how a small drone made with the hybrid technology could change its shape mid-flight, adapt to damage instantly, and even split into smaller units before reforming. The Admiral watched as the drone performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. How soon can we scale this up? We've already started, Lisa replied. The first full-size prototype ship is in early construction. We're calling it the Phoenix Project. Captain James, who had been overseeing the military applications, added, Every test has exceeded our expectations. The material doesn't just make our ships stronger, it makes them smarter. Each vessel will be able to learn and adapt during battle, something the Greys never considered. The Admiral's approval came through that afternoon. Within hours, secure messages were being sent throughout the solar system. Resources were reallocated, production facilities were converted, and humanity's greatest engineering project began in earnest. As Tom watched construction begin on the first prototype, he couldn't help but smile. The Greys had attacked them, thinking they would find an easy target. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed to surpass them. They had assumed humans would only try to copy their technology. They never considered that humans would improve it. Lisa joined him at the observation window, watching as robotic assemblers began laying down the first layers of the new hull. You know what the best part is? She asked. Every ship we build will be better than the last. The AI never stops learning, and neither do we. The Phoenix was taking shape before their eyes, its hull shimmering with possibilities. It wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's answer to those who thought they could be easily conquered. And it was only the beginning. The prototype ship Phoenix floated in the construction dock near Neptune Station, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly shine. After 6 months of round-the-clock work, the vessel was ready for its first real test. Tom stood at the observation window, remembering how it all started with a small fragment of alien metal. Now they had built something that would change everything. Final systems check is complete, Lisa announced from her station in the control room. She had dark circles under her eyes from working long hours, but her voice was filled with excitement. The AI integration is stable, and the hull is responding perfectly to all test signals. Captain James walked into the control room, now wearing the uniform of a fleet commander. The success of the Phoenix project had earned him a promotion. "Are we ready for the first live trial?" "Yes, sir," Tom replied, double-checking his readings. "We've run every possible simulation. The Phoenix is ready to show us what it can do." The test crew boarded the ship, led by Commander Mike Peters, who had served on the Pioneer during the original alien encounter. As they watched the crew settle into their stations, Lisa pulled up the main display showing the Phoenix's internal systems. "Look at this," she said, pointing to the readings. "The hull is already adapting to the crew's presence, adjusting internal temperatures and gravity fields for optimal comfort. The AI is learning their preferences in real time." The Phoenix's engines came to life, a soft blue glow emanating from its advanced drive system. Unlike traditional ships, the Phoenix could reshape its engine configuration on the fly, optimizing for different types of movement. As it slowly moved out of the dock, its hull rippled slightly, adjusting to the space environment. "Beginning basic maneuver tests," Mike's voice came through the comm system. The Phoenix moved forward, then executed a series of turns that would have torn a normal ship apart. Its hull flowed like liquid metal, redistributing stress and maintaining perfect structural integrity. "Incredible," the Admiral muttered, having arrived just in time to witness the demonstration. "But can it fight?" "Deploying combat drones," Mike announced. A swarm of automated attackers emerged from a nearby hangar, their weapons loaded with special testing charges designed to simulate real combat. The Phoenix's response exceeded everyone's expectations. As the drones attacked, the ship's hull transformed. Armor thickened at impact points seconds before shots landed. Weapon ports appeared and disappeared across its surface, firing from unexpected angles. The AI was learning and adapting with each exchange, making the ship more effective with every passing moment. "Sir," one of the technicians called out, "the Phoenix's combat effectiveness is increasing exponentially. It's developing new defensive patterns we didn't program into it." They watched in amazement as the ship performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. When 3 drones concentrated their fire on one spot, the Phoenix's hull didn't just absorb the impact. It created a concave structure that reflected the energy back at the attackers. "That's new," Tom said, quickly analyzing the data. "The AI combined our reflective shielding technology with the adaptive hull material. It invented a new defense system on the spot." The demonstration continued for another hour, with the Phoenix displaying increasingly sophisticated tactics. By the end, the combat drones hadn't scored a single significant hit, while the Phoenix had disabled all of them using minimal power. "The best part," Lisa explained to the Admiral, "is that everything the Phoenix learned during this test will be shared with all future ships we build. Each vessel learns from the others, creating a constantly evolving defense network." The Admiral nodded slowly, clearly impressed. "And you're certain the Greys can't hack or override these systems?" "The AI integration is entirely our own design," Tom assured him. "We only use their hull material as a foundation. The control systems, the learning algorithms, the tactical adaptations, those are all human innovations. They won't be expecting any of this." Commander Mike's voice came through again. Request permission to test the emergency reconstruction protocols. The Admiral raised an eyebrow. Emergency reconstruction. Watch this, Lisa said with a smile. She sent a command to one of the remaining functional drones, which fired a concentrated blast at the Phoenix's bow. The shot created a significant hole in the hull, but within seconds, the damage began to repair itself. The surrounding material flowed like water, rebuilding the damaged section stronger than before. The ship doesn't just heal damage, Tom explained. It learns from it. That section of hull is now twice as resistant to the same type of attack. The more they try to hurt it, the stronger it becomes. The Admiral watched for a few more minutes as the Phoenix demonstrated its full range of capabilities. Finally, he turned to the team. How soon can we begin full production? We've already modified the shipyards around Mars and Venus, Lisa replied. With the resources you've allocated, we can complete a ship every 2 weeks. Each one will be more advanced than the last as we incorporate new improvements. And we've solved the raw material supply issue, Tom added. Once we understood the basic molecular structure, we found a way to create the adaptive material using elements from asteroid mining. We can produce as much as we need. The Admiral's next question was interrupted by an alert from the long-range sensor station. A technician quickly pulled up the data. Sir, we're detecting unusual activity at the edge of the system. The energy signatures, they match the gray ship that attacked the Pioneer. Instead of concern, the Admiral smiled slightly. Perfect timing. Commander Peters, maintain position but power down all non-essential systems. Let's not show our hand just yet. He turned to Tom and Lisa. How many ships can we have ready in 3 months? At current production rates, with all shipyards running at full capacity, Lisa calculated quickly. 50 ships minimum, each one equipped with the latest versions of everything we've developed. The Admiral nodded. The Greys think they're coming back to finish what they started. Instead, they're going to find out exactly what happens when you underestimate humanity. He looked out at the Phoenix, its hull now calm and seemingly ordinary. They damaged our ship, thinking it would break us. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed to surpass them. As the alert lights continued to flash, showing more gray ships arriving at the system's edge, the prototype Phoenix floated silently in space. Its eye was already planning new improvements, its hull ready to transform at a moment's notice. Throughout the solar system, shipyards hummed with activity as humanity prepared its response to the alien aggression. The Greys had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed humans would be easy prey, that damaging their ship would demoralize them. They never considered that humans would take that damage and turn it into the greatest technological leap in their history. Soon, they would learn the cost of that mistake. The massive shipyards around Mars glowed with constant activity as another Phoenix-class vessel took shape. From his observation post, Tom watched the robotic assemblers work with incredible precision, laying down layer after layer of the adaptive hull material. This was the 30th ship they had built, and each one was better than the last. On the main production floor, Lisa coordinated with teams from across the solar system. The Europa Deep Space specialists had developed new sensor arrays that could detect gray ships from twice the previous range. Mars engineers had refined the propulsion systems, making them even more efficient. Every colony was contributing its unique expertise to the project. Production report just came in from Venus Station, Lisa said, looking up from her datapad. They've completed their 15th ship. That puts us at 45 total, with 5 more under construction. Tom nodded, checking the latest performance data from their completed vessels. And each one is showing better integration rates than we expected. The shared AI network is learning faster than we predicted. The AI network had been Tom's idea, linking all the ships together so they could learn from each other's experiences. When one ship discovered a more efficient way to handle a problem, all the others immediately absorbed that knowledge. It created a constantly evolving fleet that grew smarter by the hour. Long-range sensors are picking up more gray ships gathering at the system's edge. a technician reported. They're being cautious this time, building up their forces before moving in. They think they're being clever, Lisa said with a slight smile. They have no idea we can see them. The new sensor arrays are working perfectly. They're completely invisible to their detection systems. The door opened and Captain James walked in, now wearing the insignia of a fleet admiral. Status report. Everything's on schedule, Tom replied. The last 5 ships will be complete within 2 weeks. All existing vessels are running combat drills with their crews. The admiral nodded, watching as another section of hull was fitted into place on the newest ship. And the special modifications. Ready for testing, Lisa said. She pulled up a detailed schematic on the main screen. We've managed to integrate the cloaking technology from Europa's deep space program with the adaptive hull material. The ships can now literally bend light around themselves, becoming completely invisible. It had been a breakthrough nobody expected. The scientists on Europa, used to hiding research stations from Earth's telescopes, had figured out how to make the adaptive hull manipulate light itself. When combined with their other advances, it gave the human fleet capabilities far beyond what the Greys could imagine. We've also solved the power management issue, Tom added. The new reactor designs from the Mercury solar stations are providing 30% more energy than we initially planned for. The ships can maintain full combat operations longer than any Grey vessel. An alert sounded from one of the monitoring stations. The technician quickly pulled up the data. Sir, we're detecting energy signatures consistent with Grey scout ships. They're probing the outer system. Let them look, the admiral said calmly. All ships maintain emission control protocols. As far as they can tell, we're still trying to rebuild our conventional fleet. The deception had been carefully planned. While the new fleet was being built in secret, they had made sure the Greys could see obvious signs of traditional shipbuilding activity. Old-style ships were moved between stations, creating the impression of a desperate reconstruction effort. Mercury Station reports their last 2 ships are ahead of schedule, Lisa announced. They'll be complete in 10 days instead of 14. Tom walked over to a different display, showing the status of their fighter squadrons. The same adaptive technology that made their capital ships so effective had been miniaturized for smaller craft. Squadrons of advanced fighters were hidden throughout the system, ready to launch at a moment's notice. Sir, the sensor operator called out, the Grey scout ships are approaching Neptune's orbit. They're being very careful to stay outside our conventional detection range. The admiral smiled slightly, and our new sensors are tracking their every move. Keep monitoring them. I want to know the moment they report back to their main fleet. They didn't have to wait long. Within hours, the scout ships began transmitting data back to the Grey fleet gathering at the system's edge. The encoded transmissions were easily intercepted by the new sensor arrays, and human AI systems quickly decoded them. They're reporting exactly what we wanted them to see, Lisa said, reading the decoded message. According to their scouts, we're struggling to rebuild with outdated technology. They think we're vulnerable. The admiral turned to address the entire control room. This is what we've been waiting for. Send the coded alert to all ships and stations. Begin final preparation sequences. When they come in force, we'll be ready. Throughout the solar system, crews began final checks on their vessels. The ship's AIs continued to learn and adapt, preparing for combat scenarios they might face. Every piece of technology had been tested and refined. Every system pushed to its limits and beyond. Message from the Phoenix, a communications officer announced. Commander Peters reports all systems are operating at peak efficiency. Combat AI is showing unprecedented adaptation rates. The Phoenix had exceeded all expectations during its trials. As the first of its kind, it had provided valuable data that improved every ship that followed. Now it would lead the fleet into battle, commanded by the same crew that had survived the original Grey attack. New sensor contacts, the technician reported. The main Grey fleet is moving. Based on their formation and speed, they're preparing for a full-scale assault. Tom and Lisa exchanged looks. Everything they had worked for was about to be tested. Months of research, innovation, and preparation would soon face the ultimate trial. "They think they're coming to finish what they started," the Admiral said, watching the tactical display as it tracked the approaching Gray fleet. "Instead, they're about to learn what happens when you give humanity a reason to surpass you." Throughout the shipyards, the last vessels were receiving their final adjustments. Crews moved with quiet efficiency, preparing for the battle to come. The AI network hummed with activity as ships shared data and refined their combat protocols. The Greys were coming, confident in their superiority. They expected to find a weakened human civilization, struggling to recover from their first attack. What they would find instead was a fleet unlike anything they had ever encountered, built using their own technology, but improved in ways they had never imagined. The final countdown had begun. Humanity's response to alien aggression was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Gray fleet entered the solar system with overwhelming force. Over 100 warships moved in tight formation, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. Their sensors swept the area, expecting to find a few struggling human vessels. Instead, they found nothing. The space around Mars and Earth appeared empty, showing only civilian ships and stations. In the hidden command center beneath Europa's icy surface, Admiral James watched the tactical display with his senior officers. The Gray fleet's positions were clearly visible thanks to their advanced sensor network, while the human fleet remained invisible, hidden by their new cloaking technology. "They're moving exactly as predicted," said the tactical officer. "Main force is heading toward Earth, while smaller groups branch toward Mars and Venus." The Admiral nodded. "They think we're hiding. Little do they know, we're right in front of them." He turned to the communication station. "Send the signal. Operation Phoenix is now active." Throughout the solar system, 50 advanced ships powered up their systems. Each vessel had been strategically positioned along the Gray fleet's expected approach paths. The Phoenix, commanded by Mike Peters, led the largest group positioned between the Greys and Earth. "All ships reporting ready," Lisa announced from her station monitoring the fleet's AI network. "Combat systems online. Adaptive protocols active." Tom stood beside her, watching the readiness indicators turn green across the board. "The shared AI network is fully synchronized. All ships are receiving real-time updates and adapting their systems accordingly." The Admiral took a deep breath. "Begin Phase 1. Across the void of space, 20 human ships simultaneously dropped their cloaking fields. They appeared without warning in the midst of the Gray formation, causing immediate confusion among the alien vessels. Before the Greys could properly react, the human ships opened fire. The battle began with a display of technology that left the Greys reeling. Human weapons cut through space with precision, targeting the weak points in Gray ships that their shared AI had identified. The Phoenix led the attack, its hull constantly shifting to optimize its weapon positions and defensive capabilities. "Gray ships are attempting to coordinate a response," the tactical officer reported. "They're trying to surround our vessels." "Exactly as expected," the Admiral said. "Execute Phase 2. Another 15 ships decloaked behind the Gray fleet, cutting off their retreat and forcing them to split their attention. The human vessels moved with incredible coordination, their shared AI allowing them to function as a single organism rather than individual ships. From his command chair on the Phoenix, Mike watched as a Gray cruiser fired directly at his ship. Instead of taking evasive action, he gave a different order: activate reflective configuration. The Phoenix's hull rippled, transforming into the concave pattern they had discovered during testing. The incoming energy blast hit the reconfigured hull and bounced back toward the Gray ship, striking it with its own weapon fire. The alien vessel's shields failed immediately, and its hull cracked under the impact. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield as human ships demonstrated capabilities the Greys had never seen before. When the aliens adjusted their tactics, the human fleet adapted faster, their AI network constantly learning and evolving. "Gray flagship is attempting to coordinate a new attack pattern," the tactical officer announced. "They're trying to find a weakness in our adaptive systems." The Admiral smiled slightly. Time for Phase 3. Let's show them what true adaptation looks like. The final 15 human ships decloaked, completing the trap. But instead of attacking immediately, these vessels began a remarkable transformation. Their hulls shifted dramatically, changing their entire configuration. Some became smaller, faster attack craft, while others expanded into larger weapons platforms. The gray sensors couldn't keep up with the changes, unable to lock onto targets that constantly redefined themselves. On the Phoenix, Mike received a priority alert from the AI network. "Sir, the Gray flagship is attempting to transmit new control codes to their fleet. They're trying to update their combat protocols." "Perfect," Mike replied. "Activate signal intercept." This had been one of their most closely guarded innovations. Using the adaptive technology and advanced AI systems, human ships could now intercept and analyze enemy communications in real time. As the Gray flagship transmitted its new battle plans, human vessels were already adapting to counter them before they could be implemented. The battle shifted dramatically as the Gray fleet fell into disarray. Their coordinated attack patterns broke down as human ships countered each move before it fully developed. The Phoenix led a direct assault on the Gray flagship, its weapons finding gaps in the alien vessel's defenses with uncanny precision. In the Europa Command Center, Lisa watched the battle unfold with growing excitement. The adaptive learning curve is exceeding all projections. Our ships are developing new combat techniques on the fly. Tom pointed to a particular section of data streaming in. "Look at how they're sharing tactical data. When one ship discovers an effective approach, all others immediately incorporate it. They're evolving faster than the Grays can respond." On the main display, they watched as the Phoenix executed a maneuver that should have been impossible. The ship split into 3 separate sections, each acting independently to attack the Gray flagship from different angles. Then, after causing significant damage, the sections rejoined seamlessly into a single vessel. "That wasn't in any of our combat protocols," Tom said in amazement. "The AI developed that tactic on its own." The Gray fleet began to break formation, individual ships attempting to retreat as they realized the battle was lost. But the human fleet had anticipated this as well. Smaller vessels that had transformed into pursuit craft quickly moved to cut off their escape routes. Gray flagship is sending out a broad distress signal. The communications officer reported. "They're calling for reinforcements." The Admiral nodded calmly. "Let them call. When their reinforcements arrive, they'll find a human fleet that's even more advanced than the one they're facing now." The battle continued for another hour, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human ships demonstrated capabilities that improved with every passing minute, while the Gray vessels relied on tactics and technology that had suddenly become obsolete. When the Gray flagship finally went dark, its systems overloaded by attacks it couldn't counter, the remaining alien vessels attempted a last desperate retreat. Only a handful managed to escape, fleeing toward the edge of the solar system, with human pursuit craft following at a distance, not to destroy them, but to ensure they carried the message of what had happened here. As the fighting died down, the Phoenix returned to its original configuration, though its hull now bore the marks of combat. These weren't weaknesses, however. Each point of impact had been analyzed by the AI and reinforced, making the ship stronger than before. "All Gray vessels within the inner system have been neutralized," the tactical officer reported. 15 enemy ships destroyed, 67 disabled, 13 escaped. Our losses? None. All 50 ships remain operational with minimal damage. A cheer went up throughout the command center. Months of work, innovation, and preparation had paid off beyond their wildest expectations. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had emerged victorious against a technologically superior foe. Admiral James looked at the tactical display showing the retreating Gray ships. "Send the order to all vessels. Maintain pursuit, but do not engage unless attacked. I want those ships to reach Gray territory and report what happened here." Tom and Lisa exchanged smiles. The message would be clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. What had begun with a single damaged ship had led to a technological revolution that had changed the balance of power. In the days that followed, the human fleet continued to evolve. The experience gained in actual combat accelerated their development beyond what any simulation could have achieved. Ships that had already seemed miraculous became even more impressive, incorporating lessons from the battle into their very structure. The great reinforcements never came. Instead, 3 weeks after the battle, long-range sensors detected a small vessel approaching under a flag of truce. The Greys were sending diplomats, not warriors. The ultimate acknowledgement that their initial assessment of humanity had been catastrophically wrong. Admiral James stood on the bridge of the Phoenix as they prepared to receive the alien representatives. The ship that had been damaged in the first encounter was now the symbol of humanity's ingenuity and resilience. The Greys had attacked them, thinking they would find an easy conquest. Instead, they had given humans exactly what they needed to surpass them. As the Grey diplomatic vessel approached, the Phoenix's hull shifted slightly, its adaptive systems continuously improving even in peacetime. The message was subtle but unmistakable. Attack us again, and you'll face something even more advanced than what defeated you before. The Greys had learned a lesson that would echo across the galaxy. Never underestimate a species that can turn your own technology against you and make it better.